mothers of 4 or multiple kids would understand. I used to go to the pediatrician. They're like, okay, what's his birthday? I'm like,
I do it all the time. I'm like, that's how I feel about social media. I feel like sometimes you go on there and if you just see nothing but perfection, talk about a mental health bomb when you're like, it's me. I'm the problem. I'm not perfect, so I'm the issue because everyone else has a perfect life.
I didn't realize that I was the first female in North America to
Yeah.
own a private investigation agency. Good morning, Chris. How are you?
Hi, I'm so excited for the day has finally come.
I know. I have been so hyped to speak to you because you are a ball of energy. I mean, all of your social media. Okay, I'm going to just backpedal. The way we met, I sort of, for some reason, your profile started coming across my feed, probably because you're a rock star.
Thank
And I'm
you.
like, this chick rocks. She is so non-traditional. She's so my kind of gal, outside of the box, but just rocking it in everything you do. So for the audience who doesn't know you, can you just share a little bit about your amazing self?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, first of all, thank you so much. I think our story is so funny, and I know we'll get into that later, but how we met and how we connected, it was one of those, for me, like fate, meant to be, meant to happen, love it. So, thank you for saying that I have so much energy, because I think that probably collapsing on the couch at the end of the day, my husband and children might disagree. That's not how they see me, but I think it's
They
because I
always
use it all day
disagree.
long. Yeah,
They
I
always
use
disagree, but you know what? It's all good because, and I just want to be clear because there's some profiles on social that people are full of caca and oh, life is so great and rainbows and unicorns. I don't mean your profile that way. I
no,
just mean I
no.
can tell your energy, your authenticity, and you're killing it. So that's what
Thank
I
you.
meant
Thank
by
you.
your
No, and I'm
profile.
putting it, and I do try and put it all out there. I do try and be as open and honest that, we've all got our good days, our bad days, our feeling like $1,000,000 days, and our goodness, we need help today days. So I try and
I
make
love
sure that
that.
I'm over and above. So I'll give you a breakdown of a little bit about me. So, what I'm doing right now is I am with the Scotiabank Women Initiative. So, I lead the Scotiabank Women Initiative strategy across Canada for small business. And I'm lucky because let me tell you, being surrounded every day, day in and day out by women entrepreneurs, there is nothing else to give you energy like that. Like, that is a vibe. So, I mean, that is what keeps me going. I've never felt something like that in any career or role or job I've done before. I've been with Scotiabank a long time. Very, very happy to be with them. 16 years. I've had some great
Wow.
roles within Scotiabank. They're a really great corporation, take care of their employees. And this role is just different. And in the best way. I don't mean that in a bad way whatsoever. But the fact that I get to do what I do, it's pretty awesome. The connections that I've made, the relationships I've been able to build, and the super skills I have that I've been able to really showcase in this role have been amazing. So what I get to do is I get to empower and hype women entrepreneurs. I get to provide them with the tools and resources that Scotiabank's providing them and make sure they're aware of everything that's out there and available to them.
And that is so incredible. I mean, you've touched on so many. I started jotting things down. I'm like, forget
Yeah,
it. We don't have 17 hours to do this podcast, although suspect this is one of many that we'll be doing together.
love it.
So you touched on so many important things. I love the fact that you feed off of the founders and the entrepreneurs. That is
Absolutely.
key. And you know what? I'm the same. I belong to quite a few different councils and memberships and whatnot. But my favorite is being around like minded women and founders and entrepreneurs because it's sort of a lonely road sometimes. And I feel that when we all come together, we're like just starving for that, girl pack, the time together, the stories, the experiences. We need that as women so much. And if you look at, traditionally, men in business, they go golfing, and I want to golf. I've
Yeah.
got the cutest outfit. I'm not that great at it. I'll go, I'll drive the cart, I'll, serve water and cocktails, and I've got the outfit going on. But, it
Love
is the
it.
same for women. We need that camaraderie and that
Yes.
closeness. And I feel somebody like you, it's like, to me, you're that gal in high school that everybody wants to be friends with because you got that vibe and that energy. And you're right, you can't be on all the time. That would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
you were on all the time, you could bottle it, sell it, and then both you
Yeah.
and I would retire in a couple years, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
But my point is you are somebody that exudes confidence,
Thank
that
you.
is there to help, but you're also so authentic and saying, you know what, I don't feel great every day. Let's
Yeah.
touch on that for a second,
Sure.
especially with, Bell Let's Talk and everything with surrounding mental health. I'm a huge mental health advocate.
Yes.
I love the fact that you're authentic about it because back in the day, especially corporate, it was very hush hush. And
Yes.
now, with all the support and all the help, I mean, we're still far away from where we need to be, but we're so
Yep.
much closer. We're closing the gap on mental health and breaking the bias and whatnot. What do you have to sort of add to that whole culture and what's
Yeah.
happening within corporate?
Yeah, so I think what I can add to that is, and I can, 16 years with Scotia, I can only speak for, my personal experience. And what I
Mm,
can say is that we all have, we all have those days where we just need a break. We all been there where it's just become too much, or we just need a reset. And what I can say about Scotia in particular is they're so adamant. I'm going to use the word adamant about take your time. Take your time,
wow,
take your break, take your step away when you need to step away. They're very supportive in that they don't want to see you overworked. They don't want to see burnout. They don't want to see, and like, let's think about it for a second, okay? Like, let's think about it in a corporate sense and in a small business even. If you burn out your employees, that's not good for you. Like, that, as an owner, as as a corporation, as a small business, as whatever it is, if your employees are burnt out and they don't take their week off to recharge, guess what? They're going to either quit long term, or they're going to be off 6 months, a year, whatever it is, to get better. And so that for you in the long run, that's not a good thing. So yes, caring, compassionate, we want them to be better. But from a business standpoint as well, it only makes sense to want everyone to be better, right?
100%. But that was never the mentality sort of back in the day.
No,
If you look at two
absolutely.
years, 5 years, 25 years, it's like people would get worked to the bone. And
Yeah.
I feel, with the C word, which I'm not going to say, and it's not the C word everybody's thinking about,
I got you.
prior to the C word, I think that everybody was go, 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 go. I feel like that was sort of the positive that came out of it, where it's like people that normally wouldn't take a step back have taken a step back.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then they were like, holy crap, right? And a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
stress left, a lot of, maybe unresolved issues came out, things like that, that they were able to deal with, more family time. And so I love the fact of the culture, right, that Scotiabank and other corporations are now adopting.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
it's funny though, because we're sort of, and if I talk just about the private investigation side of things, because that's one of my
Yeah.
corporations, people work because they have to work. And that is just what it is. We are in a time where people are worried and concerned about money and whatnot. So I sometimes know that my, managers and my partners struggle where they're like, this person's asking for 70 hours. And it's like, because they need to support their family of 4 or 5, how do we support? And
Yeah.
so it's like, okay, if they want to do one special project a week like that, fair enough. Okay, we'll check in with them. We'll make it,
Yeah.
we'll get them an overnight or whatever the case may be. But to continuously work like that, and then you do get a little bit of pushback, right? You get a little bit of pushback from the person who's wanting the work. But
Yeah.
sometimes, I feel even myself as an entrepreneur, as a founder, sometimes we're our own worst enemy. Don't you
Oh,
find that? Where it's
yes.
like, oh,
Absolutely.
it doesn't matter that I've been up since 5. It's nice and quiet. It's 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night. This is where the real work starts. And I'm like, wow, dude, like you've got to just pull it back
Yeah.
and get some sleep. And I promise it'll be there tomorrow. Right.
Yeah.
So what's your sort of secret to saying, because you're go, 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 go,
Yeah.
go. I see you
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
You're like me, mother of four. You are a special, special gal. And so, how do you sort of self care and
Yeah.
avoid the burnout if you can? I say if you
Absolutely.
can.
So there's two things I'll share. The first is that I heard once speaking to entrepreneurs. I'm telling you, that's where the genius lies. I heard once an entrepreneur say to me, "It's not about balancing between work and life. It's about figuring out at that moment which one needs you more and give and take. So it's not like 50% work and 50% life. It's like today work needs 80% of me and life needs 20, and tomorrow it might look completely different." And that to me was like, "Oh my god, that makes so much sense to me." That makes so much more sense because there are
And that,
days where it's like work just needs me today. I'm at work and I'm there. I'm 100% focused. I'm working till, I'm in Toronto. I don't live where I work all the time. So like sometimes I'm in Toronto and I'm here for 2 days and all I'm doing is I'm working. That's it. I'm 100% at work. Other times, mama four, it's nope. Today's football tournament, basketball tournament, dance
yep.
recital, whatever it is, today's about life. It's not about work. And so I'll have my work phone and I'm 5% at work in case there's an emergency, but I'm 95% with my life. And so that's one thing that really blew my mind. The other thing, like you mentioned about self-care, and it's funny, you mentioned earlier that I'm non-traditional outside of the box. Something I learned that really helped was that self-care has to be personalized. It has to be what's right for you. So, people would say, "Oh, you got to go get your hair done or your nails done or go yoga." I heard that all the time. You know what you should do to relax is yoga. I'm not putting anyone down who loves yoga. If you love yoga, do yoga. Like that's amazing. As someone with severe ADHD who cannot sit still for 30 seconds and absolutely despises quiet, yoga's not for me. Like yoga just does that is not relaxing.
You're
That's
like,
not
that
a
is
good
not
time.
my space.
It's just not my
Exactly.
space. And so it's funny, I once got asked on another podcast, actually, what do I do for self care? I'll tell you what my very favorite thing to do is, and the thing that recharges me the most is I have a friend who lives close by. We're both moms and very busy and demanding jobs, and we have porch dates, and they're very random. If one of us has had a bad day, we will text the other to say porch date. That's all it says, and then my children, I have younger children or a younger child, so I have to stay at home. So she will come to me. She will show up. We have our big cozy hoodies, the blanket sweaters that we sit outside and
Love them.
we get our drink and we just sit and we chat maybe an hour, maybe half an hour, maybe it's 2 hours, depends how bad the day was, and then we go our separate ways and it's not planned and we don't have to put effort into it. We bring a bag of chips and maybe a bottle of wine and we just chat it out, whatever it is, and then see ya in a month or a week or whatever it is the next time we need that little
I
moment.
love that. I love that. And I want to be invited to the next
I
porch
know,
date.
right?
I don't care where you live. I'm coming in my comfies and
That's
bag of chips
perfect.
and
Yeah,
toast.
and your slippers, you
But
got to show up in slippers.
oh yeah, no hair, makeup. I
That's
get all
it.
that. And
No.
I love that because so what you're saying, you said like so many important things, but two things I want to touch on is sort of to customize it and don't make it
Yeah.
necessarily planned like a workout or a
Yeah.
yoga or whatever. But then the other really important thing is you've got a person. And I find that regardless across the board, don't care about who you are, what you do, how much you make, what country or city you live in. I feel that for mental health and just for wellness all around, you have to have a person. And I love the fact that you're bringing up therapy is not for everybody. It is for some people, and
Yeah.
I think therapy is perfect.
Yeah.
I think coaching is perfect, all that. But just beyond all that, it's 8 o'clock on a Sunday night. No therapist or coach or whatever typically will necessarily respond to you, but you have that So I always talk about tools in the toolbox or your
Yeah.
safety nets, because you never think, oh, today I'm going to have such a bad day and then stuff is going to go, plummeting to the ground. Nobody plans that. Everybody, hopes for the best, but I always say prepare for the worst. So
Yeah.
for those days, you've got that in place. That is rock star. I love that. Thank you so much for
Well,
sharing that.
and you know what
Yeah,
I'll add to that, Adrienne, if you
yes.
don't mind, is that not
Yes.
only do I have a person, but I have several people. And I think that's really important because for me, you don't use a hammer for all the jobs you need to get done, right? You need different tools, right?
Sure
And
do.
so I've got different people. There are people that when I've had a moment at work and I need an opinion about my professional career or my direction, I've got those people that I'm going to say, hey, I need to put this past you. I need to see what your insights are. I need to see what you think, where you think I should go. Am I doing the right thing? But sometimes it's mom stuff. And then I've got, my mom people that I'm reaching out to being like, oh my gosh, this is going on with the kids and I don't know what to do about it. Have you ever been there? Or do you want to just vent about it with me and talk
Yeah.
about it? How
Can we
awful of
just
a
decide
stage
why
this
we
is?
became
Yeah.
mothers?
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And no, and you know what? That is such an important point too. The reason I said the one person is number one, you were
Yeah.
just talking about her. And
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that sort of emergency person that's
Yeah.
close by is so key.
For sure.
And then I love the fact that you've got your different groups, as do I. But there are people that self isolate when they're
Mm,
anxious, they're depressed, or they've had bad moments. So
yeah.
hopefully, if you're listening to this, there's lots of helplines and there's
Yeah.
help always out there. But like you said, sort of pre-making your support says it takes a village. I don't care what it is, it takes a village. But the other thing is too, it's just not holding it in and holding it close to your chest, which I think is really important. But I love the fact that you said that. And then I just want to backpedal even more and say something that you said that was so key. So a lot of people talk about relationships, and the publication that you're contributing to, the sort of the theme is it's all about creating relationships. And I feel like
Yeah.
that's what you're all about, not only personally, but also in business, which is so
Yeah.
great. And I'm so excited to read your article. But
Thank you.
nevertheless, you said to me in the beginning, it's not like I give 50% all the time, 50%, and that is so true about life across the board.
Yeah.
I was brought up in a day and age where it's like you give 150%. And my therapist said to me, Adrienne, scientifically impossible to give 100%. You don't have that to give. And I'm like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I can always go that extra mile. And her thing was, okay, but then you were only giving 90. So let's start with 100%. And this was like a real process for me throughout several months, because I had the old school work mentality, work, 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 work until, you fall to the ground, have a heart attack, or goodness knows what, right?
Yeah.
So then she continued to sort of teach me, and there was a lot that Brene Brown is great at this as well. Relationships, sometimes you can give 90% where the other person's having a really crappy day and they can only give you 10. Let's use our
Mhm.
partners, for example.
Yeah.
And then, other days you walk in and it's, something that even my partner and I have been discussing lately. And it's like, if you've had a crappy day and I'm like, listen, I've got 30%. I got
Yeah.
your back. I've got the 70, right? And it's a
Yeah.
hard thing to do, but it is such an important tool. And you kind of bring it up and sort of have filtered that throughout your personal and professional life. So
Yeah.
kudos to you. But
Thank
I
you.
think it's important for other people and people that are listening to this podcast to be able just to look into that theory, there. And we were also really brought up with the 80-20 rule. If 80% is good and 20% not so great, or 80%, no, in this day and age, when you thought you were going to zig, you got to zag. You got to know how to
Yeah.
pivot.
Yeah,
Do you
absolutely.
agree?
Absolutely. You have to be able to pivot. You can't plan out, especially when we're talking about relationship building. You can't plan out relationships. I always think it's really funny. I do a lot of mentorship through a lot of different programs, and I always think it's so funny when I get asked a question like, "Okay, I'm going to write down the steps. So how do I network?" What? You can't plan you
I'm
can't you
sorry, I didn't mean to LOL out loud, but it's like, okay, yes.
So you can't. The way I look at it is really it's. I mean, I don't often call it networking. It's a traditional term for it. I like to call it connecting, but it's the same thing. But really, what you're doing is building relationships. And you can't plan that out. You have to, it's a reciprocal relationship. So maybe if I'm like, I want to know Adrian and I put it out there, maybe you don't want to know me. Or maybe you don't want to know me today. Maybe. And so you can't
Yes.
plan that because there's someone else involved.
Yes. You know what? I just had this conversation with one of my sons who is having a hard time with somebody. Anyways, doesn't matter. But my thing is, you can only control yourself. You can
Yep.
control yourself. You cannot control other people. You cannot control the outcome. You can control how you are going to deal with things. And
Yep.
just to go backwards, yes, the whole networking connect, I usually say connecting. For me, it's always been, I've built all my businesses around creating relationships. Even the way you and I became fast friends, I'm
Yes.
like, love this chick. And it's
Yeah.
so weird. We're going to talk about, I'm going to get your take on how we connected. And
Yeah.
then I think you connected with me, and I'm like, oh my God, you were one of the people I was going to reach out to. But, anyways, to me, it is about creating a relationship.
Mm.
And I think people don't understand that. I think people want to walk in and say, okay, well, this is my business. This is who I am. This is whatever. And that's great. But I have been saying this for decades. People are not buying into brands. You might have the best brand, the coolest rock star, whatever. You know, people are buying into founders. They're buying into people.
Yeah.
They're buying
Yeah.
into executives. They're not buying into the logo. So create the relationship, go for coffee, go
Yes.
have the conversations, do things that are going to see if you guys actually gel together, because you might not. And you might think, oh, I don't know if I really want to have this person in my business network or personal network. And
Yeah.
that's okay,
Yeah.
right? Not
Yeah.
everybody's for everybody. So
Absolutely.
I think that's what you're saying too, but I think
Yeah.
you had something to say around that. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to share our story because I think it's very fitting. And so it's, I have a very large network, obviously, of entrepreneurs because of what I do and how I do it. So this great network of entrepreneurs that surround me, and I love it. And so one of a couple, actually, not just one, but it was one in particular that I saw in my feed shared that they had spoken with you and that they were being highlighted by you, and they shared their post and their and I reached out and said, "Oh my gosh, like this is so fantastic. I love this. I love the vibe. I love the message. I love all of this." Which caused me to then make sure I went and discovered everything I could. I followed all of your socials, and I was like, "This is fantastic." And so I reached out to my contact, and I was like, this is phenomenal. And I've seen that individual in different, publications and podcasts, and they're always great. I mean, they're such an impactful human being, but there was a different vibe. Just it really caught my eye, and so I reached out to them and said, just so you know, like this was on point, like this was awesome. And she said to me, you have to meet Adrian. She's like, I told Adrian that that you guys got to connect. She said, Chris, whenever I talk to Adrian, I think about you. And whenever I talk to you, I think about Adrian. She said, you need to meet. And I said, that's great, because I've already sent her a message. Like, I've already connected and sent her, I'm just waiting to hear back. And it was funny, seconds later, you had messaged me back and essentially saying, like, I've been seeing your stuff. I've been meaning to connect. I had you on my list for next week. Like, I'm so glad we're getting connected.
I know. And I love that because it just goes back to, and thank you for sharing that. And exactly like when you message me, I'm like, okay, thank you, universe, because I
Yeah.
have been meaning to reach out to you. And it was the same. There were all these rock star women, and there are a few, and I think I know who it is that talked to you about me. Because she also mentioned you to me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to definitely reach out. And I saw your posts, and I'm like, this chick rocks. And see, normally
Love
I'd be wearing leather, by the way. I see you're wearing your
it.
leather
Yeah.
jacket. And I'm like, we are so alike. And then as soon as we got on the phone, I felt like, when you just feel this connection
Yep.
with somebody. So
Yep.
aside from, having the high energy, we're mothers of four. And I'm
Yep.
sorry, I love all my people that have 1, 2, and 3 kids, but until you have 4, it's next level. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna say that. Totally next level. It's funny because I had my when I had my last one, which he's much, much older now, but they said to me, the OBGYN is like, my mother, he was so sweet. He was the fourth boy, is my mom is a mother of four. And he goes, I don't know why it always stuck with me. He goes, there's a very special place in heaven for mothers of four. And I'm like,
Love that.
that was so,
I
I don't
love
know
that.
why it always stuck with me. I didn't understand it until, I had four kids. And then, I'm kind of saying to my husband, do you feel like we have a lot of kids? And the kids are older. And he's like, you are just feeling this now. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, odd, right? Like, because when they're little, you just do what you do and you go through whatever. I mean, you've still got one that's super young, right?
Yeah, so
And
my
then
story's a little bit unique in the sense that I
tell
never
me.
got to experience, and like I can only imagine the chaos. Let me start by saying that I never got to experience all four of mine small together. I never had that. So my I have three boys and a girl, and so my three boys have two 18-year-old boys. They are not twins. I get that question all the time. I have two 18-year-old boys. One we adopted 2-ish years ago, almost 3 years ago. So I didn't have the pleasure of having him in our family when he was small. And then my 18-year-old son, and then I have a 15-year-old son, and then my daughter's 4. So my boys weren't
I don't
small
know
when my
what's
daughter came
worse, three
along.
teenagers and a little one. I don't know, hon. It's, regardless. So, first, I want to tell you the fact that you adopted someone, that to me, and especially an older child, that to me just goes back and speaks to your heart. You're all heart.
Was
You've
It
got,
was
if
meant to be.
somebody
I'm a
maybe
firm
looks at
believer.
you, they're like, oh, she's cool. She's got a leather jacket, da, da, da. But you've got this heart of gold. And I think that's one of the other main reasons that we're so connected because I'm the same way. But the fact that you gave somebody else a life and a chance, I just so
I'm
applaud
a
you.
firm I'm a firm believer things are meant to be. I think that we've done wonderful things for all of our kids, but I believe that they teach us and give us things as well. And so I will say that all of my sons have taught us some great lessons, and our adoptive son included. I think he's really shown us how to appreciate things, and he's shown my sons, my biological sons, to appreciate what they have and what they've grown up with, because he didn't always have those things that they consider to be.
The
Doesn't
norm.
everybody have that? Like that's the norm,
Yeah.
like to them. And so there was definitely some lessons learned. There was definitely give and take. I think we're all very lucky for the way things worked out, and I'm a firm believer of things happen for a reason. And so I think it's made all of us better people for sure.
I love that. That for sure we have to do a whole podcast on because there's so many questions I have. And I am going to just end that little part with
Yep.
I love the fact things happen for a reason. That's my motto. That's how I live. I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe you and I met just by chance. And,
No.
and as I said, when it popped up, like you said, seconds later, I'm like, oh my God, I love this woman. But anyways, I love the fact that you said something that is so important. And I talk to my parents all the time and my clients that are parents. And, sadly, through the investigative side of things, we deal with a lot of trouble youth,
Mm.
children missing, kidnapped children, things that don't turn out so well when they've gone
No.
missing as well. And what they have taught me is resilience, fearlessness, and all of that. But our kids have taught us so much and people are like, oh, what do you mean, like how could you give them that power and blah blah blah, and I'm like, because they have. Okay, let's just not even talk about like things like social media. That's
Yeah.
the given, right? Whenever anything electronic goes south. And I remember even when my younger son was like super young, which, like, as I said, now he's, oh gosh, now he's like 15. They all just had birthdays, so it's, you
So
get
now you
used
got to
to.
remember all the new ages.
Yeah,
Yeah.
only mothers of four or multiple kids would understand. I used to go to the pediatrician. They're like, "Okay, what's his birthday?" I'm like, and they're like,
No, don't you feel
I'm like, I
horrible
have
when you have to
four.
think about it? I do it all the
I
time. I'm like, wait a
I
second. He's
isn't it?
2000.
Yes, it's so bad. Well, people think it's so bad, but then I'm like, I have four. Some people are like,
You
and
have
then
to
other
sort
people
it
are
through
like,
your
oh, okay,
brain.
I understand, right?
Yeah.
But the fact is that they have taught us Patience. Oh my gosh.
Mm.
Patience. You know, when you think like you have nothing left, but you still, because of the love that you have for them, that's where you pull your patience out of. And the unconditional love, even when it's really, really, really tough times,
Mm-hmm.
there's so much that they've taught us, lessons that you could never learn in a classroom or a boardroom or professionally. That has been so incredible for me. I still
Yeah.
love being a founder and an entrepreneur, and it
Absolutely.
lights
Yeah.
me up like no problem, like nobody's
Yeah. Yeah.
business. But that is really the core of what I have learned from my kids, and I
Yeah.
think it's just beautiful, but challenging.
Yes.
That's why there's porch date nights. I told
Yeah,
you next time I'm
exactly.
calling you. How many kilometers away are you
That's
exactly?
right. How quickly can we meet in the middle on someone else's porch?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I know sadly it's sort of coming to an end, but I've got a couple of more quickie questions for
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah.
What does it mean to you to be unbreakable? So obviously
Mm.
our brand is called I Am Unbreakable. I just put something out on LinkedIn, sort of the power of I am, because anything that follows I am, typically you are if you say it enough to
Yeah,
yourself. So
yeah.
I am unbreakable. The struggle's part of the story. What does it mean to you?
So to me, it means not permanent. No permanent damage. How's that? So I've had
Ooh,
lots of ups and downs. If I'm talking personally, if I'm talking professionally, there's been lots of ups and downs. Professionally, I'm not a like you said, I'm not a traditional banker. Like when you look at me with the hair, with the tattoos, with the like I've had a lot and 16 years I've been with a financial institution. So there's been a lot of you can't have that hairstyle, you can't have that tattoo, you can't not now. It's changed. It's better. It's fantastic. Please don't get me wrong. Things have come a long way. But when I started as a young person who didn't know if I could say anything or stand up for anything, or it was different. It was different then.
mhm.
And so there's been challenges. I've had lots of health challenges. I've had lots of fertility challenges. I've had lots of, loss and issues, and there's been lots. I have degenerative disc disease, so I've had years, literally
Oh my God.
years that I can't walk. so there's been times. So when I hear I am unbreakable, to me it means I can flex, I can bend, I can fall, but you're not gonna break me. You can't break me. I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna move forward. I'm gonna make it happen. I'm gonna it might be, delayed. It might be slower. I always
Might be
remember when I
the
would go.
army crawl,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You know what? You say that, but I've been there. There's been times where, my boys were small. My back is out. I'm waiting for the ambulance and I'm army crawling to the door to help them get out to the bus. I've been there. So you can do
Sorry, I'm
whatever, but
laughing. I'm laughing only because unless you have that, which I also have it, I've got four and I've got two in the neck, several in the lower, whatever. Unless you've been through that kind of pain, you don't understand what it is. And that's why I said army crawl. It's
yeah,
one of the most, there's many,
for sure.
conditions or
Yep.
diseases that are debilitating, but it's very, very tough. But that just makes me know even more so why we were connected. We have
Yeah.
so many similarities. And,
Yeah.
I'm convinced it's schlepping the kids and then schlepping the
Yeah.
kids and
Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
the other schlepping that we did for how many years.
Yeah.
But I really do believe one of my several tattoos. I think I don't even know which arm it's on. It's on one of the
Yeah.
arms.
I know you've lost where
I
everything
don't
goes.
know. It's wherever, but it says life gives the hardest battles to the strongest warriors, and
Yeah.
that's sort of how I see you. And I love the fact that
Thank
you paused for a second because I am unbreakable can mean so many different things to so many people. Of course, it's a positive affirmation,
Yeah.
obviously. But like you said, I love the fact that you're like, you know what? Life is hard. I've gone through
Yeah.
some crappy things. I continue to go through challenges and obstacles,
Yeah.
but it's not going to stop me. And
No.
that is the whole premise of I am unbreakable, which is, we talked about this prior to the podcast, which is, you see some people's social media and it's all about rainbows and unicorns and I'm
Yeah.
on a boat and a yacht and here's my Rolls Royce. Well, What about the nervous breakdown you had,
Yeah,
3 years ago? What about, you talk about loss? What about the tragedy? What about, and I feel that coming from it in a very authentic way, and that's why I knew I had to connect with you. To me, the authenticity and the women that are sharing, I mean, some of the women that are
yeah.
sharing on the podcasts and on the publication are women that are very private. And they're like, Adrian, I've
Yeah.
never shared this. I cannot believe I got on a podcast or I actually wrote this and you published it. But there's such empowerment for them. But
Oh,
taking it
yeah,
one step further, the reason it was created is also to empower future leaders like your daughter, or future leaders like somebody that is just left a corporate position and they're 50, 60
absolutely.
years old, don't know what to do, but it's, that support system. So, and I feel like you are the epitome of support. So
Well,
you were
thank
going to say
you.
something.
Thank you. I just want to share that I like to use the example of, think about when you're a new mom, right? And
Mm.
you're not sleeping and the baby cries and why are you crying, and you don't know, and and you just like, you look a mess, and you haven't, your roots are coming in, and you're like, you just don't feel yourself, you don't have your vibe back, you don't have, like, you're not into a groove yet, you don't. And you talk to another mom. Could you imagine if that other mom says, everything in my house is perfect. I feel amazing every day. I sleep every night. My hair's never been better. My baby never cries. They eat everything. They love everything. My laundry's done. Could you imagine how you would feel as the mom who's having all the struggles if you were just like, oh my God, it's me. Like, there's something wrong with me. I'm not doing it right because everyone else is having this easy time. And that's how I feel about social media. I feel like sometimes you go on there and if you just see nothing but perfection, talk about a mental health, bomb, when you're like, it's me. I'm the problem. I'm not perfect, so I'm the issue because everyone else has a perfect life. So I like
Yes.
to be able to share not only myself, but I like to be able to speak to others and say, what are the challenges and how'd you get through them? How was that struggle, and what'd you do, and how'd you get by, and who'd you talk to? And because then other women go, oh, thank God, someone else is having challenges. I'm having challenges, but they got through it. And so I can get through it too.
Exactly. And I'm going to, obviously highlight what you just said, because that is the exact reason that I started this. Because everybody would say to me, well, why are you highlighting other people? And why are you? And I said, well, and they're pulling this in a creative meeting, not like questioning, why
Yeah,
are
yeah,
you,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I said, because we need it, because everything looks so perfect on social media. And, now people are talking out, but it's, I always say that we're part of the solution. We're not the full solution, but we're a big part of the solution. And as we continue to grow the network, grow the podcast, the publication and everything, and these
yeah,
amazing women come on and say, look, stuff was hard for me, but I'm
yeah,
here now. But let me explain my journey. Let me explain what I did. And if you can take 2% of this, 0% of this, and 10% of that, we're still ahead of the game. And these
yeah,
women are willing, before, back in the day, they'd really like hold their cards close to their chest. Everything was a secret.
yeah,
Now, these rock star women, yourself included, are sharing and saying, look, this is what I endured. This was
yeah,
the obstacle that I, busted through, went around, army crawled under, hurdled
yeah,
over.
yeah,
And what empowerment. Like, gosh, I look at it too, being a female. I think I told you, with the private investigation sector, I didn't realize this going in, that I was the first female in North America to
yeah,
own a private investigation agency. And I didn't find out till years into it, but it made sense why I struggled so much of trying to find mentorship, trying to find a camaraderie of people, industry wide. I was very unaccepted in the industry. I mean,
yeah,
really unaccepted, online bullying, phone calls, being followed, just really bad nonsense.
yeah,
And then I thought, I never want another woman to go through what I went through, feeling alone. And so I never really understood it, because to me, and you're the same, I just do what I love and love what I do. I never thought,
yeah.
well, I'm a woman, I can't do this. I can't do. Did we talk about, I think we talked about the auto shop too, which is so crazy in
Yes.
high school.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying.
We
I swear to
fought to
God,
be in auto class. I know.
we were separated at birth. And I tell this story to anybody who cares or will listen, that, they shipped the girls off to home ec and sewing and cooking, and my friends and the guys got shipped off to auto, and I had like my face pressed against the glass. I'm like,
Yes,
I
let
want to be
me
in
in.
there. And so I'd go down to the principal's office, and he's like, back to class, Adrian. No, 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 no. Finally, after 2 or 3 weeks, I'm like, just tell me why. I'm like, because I looked at knowing how to operate a vehicle. I loved cars, always loved cars, but it was a sense of independence for me. So I wanted
Yeah.
to know how they ran, how they worked, how to change a tire, oil,
Yeah.
whatever. And he's like, fine, because you're a girl. And I was like, be still, my beating heart. What
What?
do you
Yeah.
mean? It was like the first time that I had ever had somebody tell me, well, you're a girl, you can't do that. And I was like, that doesn't make sense to me. And
Yeah.
so finally he let me in. And it was just like, I think he just wanted me out of his office every single day. And yeah, and so there was many other women to follow. And I love that. So I think that's sort of where you and I, because you had a similar path, did you not? Can you share
Yeah,
that with
yeah,
me before we go?
absolutely. I didn't get quite as much of a fight. There was choices between home ec and auto,
Oh,
and shop where you could build things, and I chose auto, and I was the only girl in my class. It was all guys and me. And for 3 years, like all through high school, I took
yeah.
auto every year, and I was the only girl in class every year, all through high school.
And wasn't it
And
great?
it was such a fun class that
Yeah.
I would go to the auto room on my spare and be like, "Can I just
Yes.
work on whatever we're working on?" Like,
And
I just
hang
like
out.
being here. Yeah, I just like being here.
I love that too. And I didn't realize that I do have a learning disability. And I hate the word disability, a learning thing, okay? Where I learn differently. I'm
Yeah,
much better visually versus here's a book, read this, and
yeah,
then, da 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 da,
yeah.
or I chunk things. And I only talk about learning. I only learn this through my children, going through the school system with
With
them
them,
getting
yeah,
an IEP and going from, just barely passing to honor roll. So, God bless of the things that we learn.
yeah.
And so, but I did my homework. I just want to say, I got the highest mark every single year, like you, year after year. And the guys are like, I just rebuilt like a, 67 Chev, da da da. And she's getting like a 90 something. And it was funny. Both auto teachers who I love would be like, but she did her homework. Like
She
I
did
would
the
just
homework.
underline
Yeah,
my underline
she
with
does the
red and
worksheet.
do
Yeah,
whatever. They would never do their homework, like not ever, right? The practical they'd be doing
yeah,
it, right?
yeah,
So it was just funny. You know what? Those were some of the best years. Love, love, love it, right? But it goes
yeah,
back to saying what we said. Find what you love, do it. Don't let
yeah,
anything stop you.
yeah.
Do you have, sort of in closing, because you and I, like I said, I know you've got another meeting, as do I, but I could talk to you forever and ever. You've got
I know. I
such,
feel like we need to do this again because I feel like there's more to be
oh,
said.
don't you worry. I've already got like a whole plan about a series you and I
Amazing,
are going to do.
amazing.
So there'll be many next. But I want to ask you, is there a motto that you sort of live by? Like, so one of mine is the struggles part of the story. So that's life. Okay. Obstacle, it's here. Can't get past it. It is what it is. Never give up on your dreams. My three favorite words. Yes, you can. But I bet you have a ton of them. Can you share a couple with us in closing?
Yeah, I can. So one of them that I live by, truly believe in, be fierce. That for me, like stand up for what you believe in. Be respectful, do it respectfully, but be fierce. It's okay to have beliefs and it's okay to say them out loud. That's allowed.
Mm.
Um, in the same sense, don't ever close your mind off to learning. So you can have beliefs, but that don't say like I can't ever change. You can. You can. But
Yes, you
but
can.
if you strongly believe in something, that's okay. You're allowed to do that. Be fierce. Be fierce about what you believe in. Be fierce about what you want. Be fierce about what you like. Just be fierce. I think that's important.
Mm.
And family first is a big one for me. Family first. Like my family comes first. I love what I do. I love my work. I love my community. I love my entrepreneurs. I love it. But my family comes first. They're my everything.
I
So
love it.
if they need me, I'm out. Like
Yeah,
that's hands down. That's it. Is if they need me, I'm out because family's first.
I love that. But isn't that sort of part of your persona? And everybody knows, say, you and I have, I swear, I think we were separated at birth, but that's a
I know.
whole nother story for it. We'll do like ancestry something
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
Make sure we're not separated at birth, but I'm the same. But isn't that sort of what makes you who you are? It's, you've got this loyalty about you, and it's your legacy, your kids or your family, and people that I
Yes.
have amazing friends and family that don't have kids. So it's not all about just the kids. It's your partner. It's whoever you.
Hey,
It's your
absolutely.
pets. It's
No,
whoever you
absolutely.
consider
My
family.
friends, my like I'm very loyal to my circle, and I'm not. People have commented in the past. They're like, you have so many friends for so long. Like my friends are from like middle school.
Same. Yeah.
Like
But
because I
that says
really
something
I
about you.
cherish those relationships.
But that says something about you, like you said, that you not only cherish them, but you foster them, you work
Yeah.
on them, and you
Yes.
are all about creating relationships. And you know what? Some friends, sadly, you have to say goodbye to if
Absolutely.
there's some toxicity or whatever the case may be. But
Yep.
obviously, you're doing so many things right. I feel so blessed to be part of your circle, and I
Oh,
give you a
same.
big hug that you're part of
Yes.
our circle now and the Unbreakable family. I cannot wait to do this again.
Oh, same. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to do more. I can't wait to do more. This has been fantastic.
And we will. Okay. See you soon. High five.
High five.